Welcome in. It's another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and Where the 99 Leads. It's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville. We talk all things regarding the university, academically, athletically, and sometimes those two blend. And we will talk about that on today's show. Where the 99 Lead, of course, we refer to those historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus, but also lead from campus into the community and into the world, and many times those 99 steps lead back to campus as well. Special guest on today's program, we go back a long way. We probably could sit here and talk for 3-4 hours and not miss a beat. Ladies and gentlemen, an instructor of sports management, and that's a tough title for me to get used to. He's a former sports information director and assistant athletics director at the University of Pikeville, Rick Bentley. Rick, welcome in.
Thanks, Andrew. When they were contacting me about questions for this, I said, Andrew and I really need a script to have a conversation.
Exactly, and I don't think we will follow script, even though we've been provided some key talking points. But before we go there, we do know each other well. There's some folks tuned in that don't know Rick Bentley, believe it or not. And if you could, just give us a little biographical information, where you come from and how you arrived at the university.
Well, I was born in Michigan a long time ago and raised on Rock House and been living there pretty much all my life. Came to the university as a student in 1987. Graduated in 1989. I was a member of the Centennial class there. 6 years later, I got a job as a sports information director, assistant AD. 17 years in that position, and this is my first year as a full-time instructor.
Right. And of course, we're going to talk about that transition. During your time as sports information director, well, even before then, what are some of the most significant changes in the university? Obviously, the name change a couple of years ago from Pikeville College, but when you arrived as a student in 1987 till now, what are some of the most significant changes?
The thing that's changed mostly is the look of campus. The buildings are the same, but when you and I were students there wasn't an elevator that went between Wickham Hall and the administration building. And a lot of the things, when I was a student there, the dorms, Conda and Darien, were closed, and now they're open and thriving. Sure. We have a new dorm in Kinzer Hall that was the water plant when you and I were students there, Andrew. There's been a lot of changes to that. And then, the hangout when I was on campus, I would imagine when you were there, was the steps in front of the administration building, and right. Those aren't there anymore. Now it's the bridge that leads to the Armington Science Center. So there have been a lot of changes like that, but the beauty of the campus is that even though it's grown, there's about 3 times more students than there was when sure. I was a student there. It's still that same small atmosphere where you get to know everybody and everybody knows everybody else, and yeah. That's what makes University of Pikeville a special place.
Many times on this program, we'll hear folks refer to the University of Pikeville as a family atmosphere, and truly because of the number, everyone does know everyone, and most times that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not so good.
When I was when I first came here as an employee, Roy Cutright was the men's basketball coach, and I remember Roy telling us one time that our insurance was going to go up because one of the ladies on campus had cancer. Yes. It's that small, that one incident like that can affect you.
Sure.
But the thing is that more than we weren't worried about the insurance premiums going up, we were worried about that lady.
Sure.
And that makes our place a very, very special place in my estimation.
Rick Bentley, instructor of sports management. We'll talk about that, and of course your transition from the sports information director's office, multiple time winner of the Mid-South Conference Sports Information Director of the Year, and rightfully so. Probably could have swept the thing, in my opinion, for 17 years that you spent in that office, but they decided to share the wealth at some point. But a tremendous job in that role. And Rick, during your time as SID, you saw new sports added. You saw a lot of memorable moments in the history of UPike and Pikeville athletics. What are some of the most memorable for you?
The day I started, Andrew, we had 5 sports on campus.
Right.
We had 21 when I left the sports information office. So the growth is unbelievable there. We, the most famous one, I guess, is football. Everybody was really excited about that. The most successful one has been women's bowling, and we named those the same day. In fact, I remember that I was so scared of Hal Smith at the time when I welcomed everybody to that press conference. I wanted to say, welcome everybody to the announcement of adding women's bowling to our campus. I didn't ever think that it would get to be that kind of success on campus. But that's been the thing for me. The highlight for me has been seeing the growth and the fact that there are 4 national championships in our university's history, and I've been blessed to be there for every one of them.
Yeah.
You and I sat courtside in Kansas City for the basketball one. The 3 bowling championships, I was able to be right in the lanes with Ron and his team when they won those things. Those are times that you never forget. Those are very special memories for me.
Yeah, and of course, your time in the SID's office with 5 sports, and then with 21, it was still just you in the SID's office. It's become a very busy job.
It is a very hectic, fast-paced job. You go from one event to the other. Sometimes by the time you get to the second event, it's already started. I think that happened to Dan on Saturday. They had soccer going right after the football game. And it's a very busy time. You go from June and July of not really having that much going on. You go home for a weekend and you come back and you've got 300 students on campus. Sure. It's amazing the pace of it, but that's the beauty of athletics. That's what we do and what we live for.
Now in the classroom, and you get a chance to see those student athletes in the classroom, it gives you a different perspective of them as well, because we see them on the court, on the field, in uniform. And during the course of this program and some of the coaches' shows, I get a chance to talk with those student athletes as students, as your everyday run-of-the-mill student that if you saw on campus, you wouldn't realize they're an athlete necessarily because they wear the jeans with the holes in them. They've got the T-shirts on. Yeah, they're a typical college student, but having a chance to see them in that environment certainly changes our perspective of them, and it makes us realize what the University of Pikeville is all about, and that's building and grooming and educating our next generation.
The one that stands out for me, Andrew, is Jordan Amos.
Yes.
You and I have talked about that on the air many times, that on Monday through Friday, nobody knows he's on campus. And on Saturday afternoon, everybody in town knows who he is.
Absolutely.
And he's just a very unassuming. In fact, I mentioned in one of my classes the other day, he does not look like a football player. He certainly doesn't look like a receiver, because he's not 6'4" or 6'5", and he doesn't weigh 230 pounds. He doesn't look like he's carved out of granite, but he just knows how to catch a football. He knows how to get himself open, and now I'm finding out that he knows how to handle his business in the classroom. He and I had a conversation last week that, I told him, I said, if your grade point average is not 3.7 or 3.8, it's just because you're so spread out that you just don't have time to do a lot of those sort of things. And he's one that always comes to mind for me with that. But you're right, I get to see a different side of those student athletes, but I still get to be around them. I'm still interacting with the coaches. I'm still interacting with Reggie Overton, the athletics director. So it's a good opportunity for me. It's been a transition I've really loved. A lot of people have been asking me, are you okay? Are you sure you're enjoying this? I love every minute of it. I just love being at that university.
You're tuned to Where the 99 Lead. We talk UPike athletics, academics. We talk the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. We talk about student athletes. We talk to instructors. We talk to professors, study abroad programs, so many different topics. And today we talk about Rick Bentley, former SID at the University of Pikeville, and now an instructor in the sport management program. It's a brand new program, a field that I believe will explode at the University of Pikeville and become one of the most popular programs on campus. Before we talk about your transition from the SID's office to instructor in the classroom, let's talk about your replacement in the SID's office. Dan White, of course, comes to us from Lindsey Wilson College. He's got a nice resume, but I understand you played a little part in his coming to the University of Pikeville.
I think so. Dan and I have been friends for some time now. His time at Lindsey Wilson, I got to know Dan very, very well. Of course, Chris Wells is the SID there, and he's been the conference SID for some time now too. So I knew the relationship those two had and got to know Dan very, very well through my relationship with him and around the league. And in talking to the other SIDs around the conference, you find out who's doing a very good job and who's not. You learn those things pretty quickly. And Dan was a guy who constantly came up, and he was the probably the one person who was most ready to run his own program. And when we got the opportunity, when I knew that I was going to be making the move, his was the name that I took to Dr. Overton and Robert Staggs and to Dr. Hurley and said, this is a guy I think we need to bring on.
And is Chris Wells at Lindsey Wilson speaking to you yet?
Almost. He's almost over it now. In
Yeah.
fact, that was a conversation that Chris and I had. I wanted him to know that, he's got to understand that, Dan he had Dan groomed very, very well. And the fact that we came looking for him was a tremendous compliment to Chris, or it should have been, that he was ready to step in and take that role.
Well, it's a great loss for Lindsey Wilson, becomes a great gain for the university, and Dan White has done a tremendous job in his time on campus. When students came back to campus back in August, they stopped by the SID's office. There's a new name on the door there, and they find you in the classroom once classes begin. Let's talk about Rick Billings' transition from SID to instructor.
The day that I interviewed for the job, part of the interview was that I taught a class. And I had taught one class last semester as an adjunct professor, so I just picked out one of my lectures and made sure that there was nothing on it that was like a quiz coming up or something like that, and went with it because I mostly teach on PowerPoints and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when we got through with it, and I met then with Dr. Hess and Dr. Howard Roberts about the position, they said they saw some good things they really liked. They saw the passion that I have for it. They also saw some areas where I was green and the inexperience showed. And I told them, if I thought that I had this thing figured out by now, we'd be in really a mess. I wouldn't be the person for that job.
Sure.
Because I've got to know that I've been in the classroom about 28 times by the time I did that. I'm certainly going to be green, and I'm not going to know everything that I'm doing. And it's a learning process for me. And one of the things that I talk to my students about, Andrew, is that it's that we're learning together. They're learning the subject matter, and I'm learning how best to present it.
Right.
And that's been a transition for me. And there have been some bumps in the road and that sort of thing, but it's been a work in progress, but it's been a labor of love for me. Because, Andrew, you and I, you know me very well, and you know that that one of the things I'm most passionate about is my faith. And I viewed our campus as my mission field for some time now, and I believe that God put me here to do His work. And the fact that I was the sports information director was just how I paid the bills in order to do God's work here, and I still been able to do that because one of the things that the administration talked to me about was keeping a role in the spiritual life on campus and staying in charge of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And so I get to do those things in addition to my time in the classroom. It's a privilege for me. It's an honor for me to be there. And Andrew, about a month ago, I was at the funeral of a lady named Cleo Bailey. Cleo was a substitute teacher I had because she had already retired by the time I got there, and she was a student at our university. And I sat at her funeral listening to the stories, and I thought, that lady has sat in the same classrooms that I sat in and you sat in, sure, and that I teach in now. It's an honor for me to be here. It's an honor for me to do that, and an honor for me to be a part of this university and take a different look at it. Now I'm getting to see it from a different angle. You're right. It's a different view on life, but it's such a privilege to be here.
As comfortable as you were in the SID's office, I would imagine you might have been just as uncomfortable that first day in the classroom.
I tried to cover it, but yeah, it was different. It surely was. One of the things I've done since I got this job, in the sports information office, it was khakis and polos, and I've tried to wear a tie and show that, I'm taking this seriously.
Sure.
I'm trying to be as professional with it as I can. And the thing is that some of these students who I have in classes now are some of the ones who used to come in and sit in my office.
Sure.
The ones I used to see in the FCA meetings and things like that. So we have some good conversations, and I get some good feedback. Another student, Andrew, that I have in class last semester was Chase Ellis. And about the time our semester was ending and we were giving final exams, he and I were working the district baseball and softball tournaments for
Right.
you. So I got to see Chase from a different angle as well. It's such a privilege to see those kids and watch them grow.
Right.
And they're helping me grow. They may not realize it, but they're helping me grow too.
Absolutely, and we single out Chase Ellis because we both have ties. Of course, a Pikeville athlete, a University of Pikeville student, and also part-time broadcaster now with East Kentucky Broadcasting, and He's been a tremendous addition to the East Kentucky broadcasting crew as well. Does some work for Pike TV, also on some university broadcast. You're tuned to Where the 99 Lead. It's brought to you by the University of Pikeville, and we talk all things regarding the University of Pikeville. One of the newest programs, the sport management program, and talking with Rick Bentley. He's in the classroom with that new program. It's an exciting program on campus, and over half of the undergraduates at the University of Pikeville involved in extracurricular activities in athletics. It's a tremendous number when you consider that the University of Pikeville has more student athletes on campus than the University of Kentucky.
It's crazy how many people are playing sports at the university. It really is. And the number of sports we had. You know, Andrew, I've talked to, one of my best friends in the world is Gene Davis, and I know you're very tight with Gene as well. And he has told me many times the story about going to a basketball game, and they introduced the starters, and there was one young man on the bench, and there was a head coach sitting there, and he said those 7 people were the entirety of the athletic department at the University of Pikeville.
Wow.
And now we've got 21 sports.
Yeah.
We've got football reports, and they've got between 175 and 200 kids coming in just to play that one sport.
Right.
Just that one. So it's exciting time for us. And the addition of sport management was a no-brainer. It was a natural progression for us because when you've got 600 student athletes on campus, they're going to be interested in sports and what we're doing in those classrooms. And I try to tell those kids every day that we're looking at things, the same world that they've looked at all their lives. We're just looking at it from a little different angle.
Sure.
We're looking at it, because soon your playing career is going to be over, and the air is going to come out of the ball, and you're not going to be able to hit the golf ball for, and get your education paid for. You're going to be doing other things, but there are ways you can stay involved in it. I've been blessed that in my entire life, I tell people I've worked for a living for 8 months. In my entire life, there's 8 months I worked when I wasn't involved in athletics, and you've been able to get back to that as well. Sure. We have a passion for it, and we have a love for it. There are jobs out there, and what we're trying to show these kids is the different jobs that are available for them and the different opportunities they have if they want to stay involved in athletics when their playing career is over.
Of course, the sports management degree is part of the Coleman College of Business. Many of the business faculty at the university, they've been in those roles for 20 years or so, and many were your professors. Tell us what it's like to work with the same professors that taught you.
It's interesting, Andrew. When I was a student at Alice Lloyd College, Kasuth Mitchell was my professor. I had him for a statistics class. When I transferred to the University of Pikeville, the business department in an entirety was Howard Roberts and Gene Lovell and Pam Gilliam and Brenda Maynard.
Right.
And those 4 are still there.
Yes.
Gene just retired 2 years ago. He's still around town. We still see him on a regular basis. I still consider him to be a part of it. And those are the people who taught me the things that I know about business and the things I know about being in a classroom. When I transferred to Pikeville College, as it was known at the time, Andrew, I had 2 years of schooling, so a lot of the basics, a lot of the Englishes and the maths and those sort of things I already had. The lion's share of my classes were in my major, the business classes, and so I was in their classrooms quite a bit. In fact, Howard taught a class that I almost audited. I sat in it so often because a couple of my friends that I went to lunch with every day had it. It was right before lunch, and I'd sit in there with them during class. It's amazing to me to be able to consider those people colleagues now. There's been a 17-year window when we were co-workers, but I really didn't see them on a daily basis, and now I do. Now I interact with them, and now they're the people I'm leaning on right now to get information and to get suggestions and that sort of thing as to how I'm doing things in the classroom. Just today, I texted Howard Roberts about a question I've got for a class I've got this afternoon. Sure. They're people I can lean on and people I can rely on, and they're always there. They never say no.
Just the same as if you were a student that many years ago.
I'm still learning from them every day.
Absolutely. The Coleman College of Business was announced in July. Great dedication ceremony making that announcement. And of course, the Coleman College of Business to be located in the Academy building on the lower campus. What's it like to be part of that endeavor?
It's a very exciting time to be a part of the business program at the University of Pikeville. Howard Roberts is doing a great job leading that group, and there's a lot of experience there, as we've talked about. There's a lot of us who are kind of new, at least to the school, if not to teaching. But it's a great opportunity for us. We get an opportunity to set the stage for this program, and we will decide how it will get going, how it'll carry on. We want to set the bar high, or in the early stages of this thing, because it's going to continue to grow. And the higher we have it going this year, 2 or 3 years from now, it'll be even higher than that. So we know that, and we understand that. It carries a little bit of a burden when you've got a name like Burlin-Coleman attached in the city of Pikeville. You've got a little bit of a burden there, but we're very excited about it and what we have in store. The idea is that Howard has to help this program grow and get involved in the community, Andrew. You know, this community right now is suffering a little bit with all the coal losses and things like that. We are looking at ways that we can help those people to help them get involved in other industries and maybe continue their education and things like that. There are a lot of things that we've got going on at the University of Pikeville and the Burlin-Coleman College of Business. We want to be we want that pressure. We want to be the standard that the other departments are shooting for.
The sport management degree is fairly new to campus. How have the students responded to the program and to the classes?
They told me, Andrew, when I took the teaching job, that for the first year I probably wouldn't have any advisees. And about a week later I checked and I already had 17, because there's so many people majoring in business, emphasizing sport management on campus right now. So there's a tremendous number of kids. I'm teaching a class called Foundations of Sport Management right now, which is basically the introduction to the sport management field. There are 35 students in that class right now.
Wow.
And probably, and when I asked for a show of hands the first day, well more than half of that class, Andrew, raised their hand that they were going to major in sport management. They knew that. The rest are taking it maybe as a filler course, maybe as an elective, or maybe they're just trying to decide what they're wanting to major in right now. So maybe it will be sport management for those people. It's going to be a field that's going to grow and grow and grow, and we understand that. We're comfortable with that, and that's why I'm personally trying to expand my education opportunities and that sort of thing to get ready, because we're going to have a lot of students in these classes and there's going to be a lot high demand for them.
Over 600 student athletes on campus. There's a natural recruiting base there to recruit within those students who obviously are sport-minded. Being athletes, they've been around sports their entire lives. Many will choose to go into a field related to sports. Many will not. They have their mindset on other things. And as I've talked to student athletes, it's been amazing the different types of fields that they do plan to go on to. You talk to very successful athletes that are going into medicine, and they're going into computer science and those type of fields, a lot going into coaching as well. But it makes me feel good that we have student athletes that we see on the field that will be taking care of us in a doctor's office someday as we get a little grayer and a little older. And then there are some looking to go on to pharmacy school. So we'll have a natural built-in pharmacy connection as well with these student athletes we've seen grow up.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're going to be attorneys. They're going to be doctors. They're going to be teachers. They're going to be doing all these things, Andrew. And some of them want to, if you're a teacher and you can be an athletics administrator, that's just all the better for you. It helps you with tenure and it helps you get your foot in the door, and also helps you with your pay. Obviously that's a key for any one of these kids. They're going to say, when you talk to them about a job, what does it pay? That's going to be one of the first questions you get. So we're offering them an opportunity to do that and to expand on that horizon a little bit. Also, you're right. There's a built-in clientele here for the undergrad. We're working on expanding the grad program as well, and that's one of the things I'm going to be doing, is getting out and going to other schools and to other universities and saying, hey, you've got this degree. If you want to get a degree in sport management or an MBA, we've got the place for you right here at home, right here close to home in Pikeville.
Of course, part of your new job is recruiting students to the sport management program. What do you tell students who are interested in the sport management degree, or possibly in the sport management master's degree, and what are some things that they can do with that particular degree?
A lot of things, Andrew. A lot of these kids, all they've known is athletics, all they've known is sports, and a lot of them, like it or not, the truth is the truth. The reason they're in college is because they got a scholarship to play sports. So this is something they've been around all their life, and they're within 4 years of not having that in their life. So it's going to be an adjustment period, but we're showing them that there's an opportunity for them to stay involved in athletics. That a job like you and I have, Andrew, it's kind of rare now, but it's not going to be for long.
Right.
These are opportunities they're going to have. These are things that they're going to be able to do, and it's an exciting time to do this. One of the things we talked about in one of my classes a couple of weeks ago, Andrew, was that people don't know to look for people with sport management degrees, but that's going to change, and they're going to be the ones who change it. They're going to have those sport management degrees, and 15 or 20 years from now, when they're in the hiring process, they're going to be looking at this and saying, hey, I need somebody with a sport management degree who's got some knowledge in financial situations or things like that they can tap into, and they're going to know those are the people they're looking for, and those are the things that we try to provide them with that opportunity at the University of Pikeville.
Of course, the sport management program, a natural recruiting base to athletes, but perhaps high school athletes who aren't that talented. Maybe they're not so talented that they would play at the college level, but still have an interest in going on and finding a career in sport management, staying involved in the sport as well. I can imagine that there will be a lot of students that will go that route as well.
You were different from me, Andrew. We both were baseball players growing up, and you had the opportunity to play college baseball. I had an opportunity to play, but it wasn't going to help me financially.
Sure.
And I still had a love and a passion for athletics. So when I got here and I got the opportunity to start writing for the newspaper and doing some radio at one of the stations that you guys have now, WECL in Elkhorn City, it's now WPKE FM, I jumped at that opportunity to stay involved and to do those sort of things. These people are going to have a degree that helps them do that, and it's a golden opportunity for them to be able to do these sort of things for a living, and to find out that there are many ways and many avenues that you can stay involved if you want to stay involved in athletics all your life.
Give me a short list of potential jobs for someone with a sport management degree.
You could work in any level of athletics. You could work as an athletics director. This is the perfect degree for you for there. If you're interested in finances, if you're an accounting person and you love sports, every sport organization has an accountant, an accounting office, accounting staff. Those are the sort of things that you can do there. You can also, human resources is a valuable task. We're getting into risk management and things like that. All those sort of things that you would do in a normal business, you can do those things in the athletics field as well. And what we're doing here is, instead of taking that degree and figuring out how to use it in an athletics field or with an athletics program, we're showing you how to do that. We're showing you the angle and what you need to know, sports specific, if you want to be, say, an accountant in the athletics program at some major program or university.
Rick Bentley, he is one of the instructors at the University of Pikeville in the sport management program, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. And Rick, as part of your role as a recruiter for the program, if someone's interested in the program, would like to get you in front of a group of students who might have shown a certain interest, how can they contact you? You
can contact me through my email, rickbentley@upike.edu. My office extension is 218-5900. You can reach me. We're all available on Facebook and Twitter and all those places now as well. Anything like that any way people can get in contact with me. I've already been in front of a group. In fact, former Bear Jamie Heflin, you remember her very well, Andrew, from her time at Belfry and at Pikeville College, as it was known then, had me speak to 96th graders last week. It was a golden opportunity for me to get in front of that group. Now, they're not, they're not eminent students for us. They're not juniors or seniors in high school, but if they're thinking about it now, and you plant that seed now, it's just going to grow and grow, and that's kind of what we're looking for. I'm looking to talk to community colleges, junior colleges, four-year schools, high school groups, anybody I can get in front of and tell them about this program. We're excited about it and excited about the opportunity that they have to come to the University of Pikeville. These groups are just different ways we have of recruiting people to our school, Andrew.
All right. Rick Bentley, I thought sure you were going to tell me you've got to go through my agent to get in contact with me.
I think you would be my agent at this point, Andrew. You and I have known each other for a long time, so contact Andrew Joyce. He'll get you hooked up with me.
I can do that. It'll cost you 10%. Rick Bentley, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead, instructor in the sport management program. If you'd like more information in the sport management program at the University of Pikeville, you can contact Rick at 218-5900 or go to the website. And of course, that is upike.edu, and you'll find Rick Bentley there in the sport management program. Rick, thanks for being here. It's great to be able to sit down and talk, and we'll have to sit down with some headsets on courtside real soon.
Anytime, you just name it.
You got it. Rick Bentley, instructor in the sport management program at the University of Pikeville. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead, a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville. We talk all things regarding the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia.